Hello, Aditi here, and I'm back with another fun tutorial for y'all. Today I decided to create a mixed media canvas, and what I have here is a 6-inch round canvas, and I thought it would be really fun to alter this. I found this resin casted butterfly in my stash, and I thought it would make for a really cool focal point. Now, when it comes to choosing colors for my project, I generally follow my heart. I pick colors that I feel called to in the moment that I'm creating and just play with those because that just makes me happy. But even to begin that process, I find it really helpful to just dig into my watercolors, my sprays, my pigment powders, and look at the colors and pick the colors. But today I had a little different approach. I dug into my stash of embossing powders from Wow, and I felt so called to be using this particular trio set, which is titled Tropical Nights and has this amazing deep magenta with shimmer embossing powder, a nice bright lime green, and this black here. So here's a look at the colors I picked up to go with my embossing powders, and I think this will really work effectively for my canvas today. To begin, it's important to coat our base with gesso, and so I have already done that. I have given a coat of clear gesso to my canvas, and I have coated my resin cast with white gesso. So that just primes the surface and it makes it ready for me to start adding colors. Another thing that I really like to do always when I'm starting a project is make a little color swatch of the colors I'm using, and that way I get an idea of how they will look when I work with them collectively. For my first step, I want to start adding colors very lightly and create a base layer with these colors. And what I have in mind for the placement of my focal is here. This is the position that I'm looking at placing this butterfly, and I want to work around this. So with that idea in mind, I am going to begin adding colors. Now before adding my next color, I want to give this a quick dry, and so I will be using my Wow dual heat tool on the number 1 heat setting and dry this. Since I'm going to add all the bling and the bright color using my embossing powder, I want to keep the base, the background, with the coloring very light, soft, and almost, to this pastel look. Next, I want to begin with my first layer of texture, and for that I am just going to be using a little stamping. And I will be using this metallic gold rich embossing powder to add some gold touches with my stamping. Now this time, because I'm going to heat emboss this, I will be using the heat tool but on the 2nd heat setting. To bring a little more interest, I am going to go in with the same stamp set, but this time with black ink, and I will do the stamping just closer to these gold highlights. So now for my next texture, just to build my background further, I want to use this particular stencil with modeling paste and then add embossing powder on top of that. I will not be using too much of it, just slight touches here and there. So I will just place my stencil and apply texture paste first randomly. Now while my texture paste is still wet, I am going to go in with the palm embossing powder. Not everywhere, just a few random touches here and there. So I will be using this small spoon for that. Now when we add embossing powder to texture paste and heat set it, what it does is it makes the texture paste a little bubbly and that rises. And that I particularly really like because of that amazing texture that I then get with this raised effect. So that's a look at the background so far. With the background done, time to start building the composition. Now along with the butterfly, I decided that it would be a good idea to add some die cuts. So I have cut out a few here using Alexandra Renke dies, and what I also did off camera was I colored the butterfly. So this is what the butterfly looks like, and I did this off camera because I wanted to heat set the embossing powder, but since it's resin I knew it would either expand or melt or something something funny would happen to it. So I decided to do it off camera as a little experiment. How I colored this was I just coated the resin cast with gesso, and I used the same Lindy's watercolors I added to the background. So I added the color, and while it was wet I sprinkled embossing powders and heat set it. Yes, it lost its sturdiness at that time when I had heat set it, but now it's back to being firm and sturdy. So that's just a quick look at the colored butterfly. And on the butterfly, I used palm as well as hibiscus. Now for the die cuts, I decided it would be a good idea to mix up colors and bring everything together. So I will use palm, hibiscus as well as opaque bright white to retain that whiteness of my canvas. Nothing fancy, the same simple technique, just going to emboss them with the embossing pad and powders. Time to put everything together, glue down all the elements and create the composition. So what I also have is a piece of twig that I'd like to use, as well as some lace apart from these die cut elements and my focal butterfly. I also added a few flowers and some pearls, and I want to finish this off with some meaning. So I'm just going to use some of Tim Holtz stickers and just add a little meaning to this entire piece. I think bright hopes is a good idea for this particular one. That's a look at the completed canvas with that subtle background and all the pop of the shimmer and glitter on the top. So here is a closer look at the canvas, all those gorgeous details, the shimmer, the shine. I really love it. I really hope that you've enjoyed this mixed media canvas tutorial, and I look forward to inspiring you all with my further projects. Until then, take care and bye-bye.